Okay, we are going to talk about Aisha today. And her own words would tell us quite a bit. It would reveal quite a bit to us about her personality, about what was important for her, what was the level of her modesty, and what was the level of her piety, and what was the level of her shame and self-respect and haya. We have hadith that la dina la imana liman la haya alah. A person who lacks haya, shame, a person who lacks shame, who is not ashamed of anything, such a person is lacking iman, lacking faith. A God-fearing person is always self-respecting. He will always, or she will always, respect boundaries. And he and she will always feel embarrassed about disclosing things that are private, that are personal. And today we are not going to accuse Aisha of anything that is not present in the Umari books and their most sacred narrations from Aisha, from herself. And you'll find Aisha, and of course, there are many things about Aisha. There are many things in her own words that I will not be able to narrate to you today and show you today and exhibit these references today. But in the future, I'll show them. But what I will show you today would be enough and sufficient for you to get an understanding of that woman who waged war against Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, against Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, under the guise of being the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam's wife, taking advantage of the position and the prestige and the recognition of having been the spouse of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, to use this to appeal to Muslims' emotions, to wage war and to pull out swords, to step into foray against Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Which kind of a woman that she be? Obviously, that could not be a woman who is God-fearing. That could not be a woman who is self-respecting. That could not be a woman who has haya, who has iman. That's obvious for the many, many verses of the Noble Quran and many, many ahadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That could be only a very, very evil woman. Now, one of the aspects of her personality that you could see in her own words, how does she talk to people? And about what things does she talk? And how does she speak? And how does she talk about her late husband, the Lord of the Messengers, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after his demise? That would tell you which kind of a woman she is. Now, let me tell you at the outset that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam never deputized Aisha, never obligated Aisha to teach Muslim men or Muslim women about their sex lives. No honorable man would do that. No honorable, self-respecting person, let alone the Lord of the Messengers, the most honorable person ever, the most venerable person ever to have walked the earth, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would require his wife to teach men about their sex lives, to teach men about her own menstruation and cycles of menstruation. That's not going to happen. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had not obligated Aisha or any of his women to discuss any of these things to other men or other women. He had obligated his brother, his heir, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, to teach the Muslims about all rulings of Islam, about all questions of halal and haram, about all laws of Islam, whether they pertain to the romantic life, whether they pertain to health issues, or whether they pertain to issues of commerce or trade or family or any other uh, side of life imaginable. And he had asked Muslims to refer to him, to ask him, because he was just like the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His knowledge, same as the knowledge of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his infallibility, his piety, and his dependability, and his benevolent character, and his honesty, just like the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had solved the issue of whom Muslims should ask about if they have any question, whether about sex, whether about marriage, or any other issue, whom they should go to. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had also told and transferred to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam all his knowledge. So that is something that's well established in the Shia tradition and in the Umari tradition. And any person could introspect and ask himself, would your father, if let's say your father was an alim, would you ever imagine your father would obligate and give this duty to your mother that she would have to teach the people and Muslims in your neighborhood about sexual acts? No, that's not going to happen. So how could one imagine the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam might have told Aisha that you have to do this? However, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was responsible for guiding the Muslim ummah. And he carried out that mission perfectly with full responsibility. And he knew that this mission had to be carried out after him. So for the time after him, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had one like him, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, to teach people. Have you ever seen a woman, no matter how of a low character, no matter how shameless, that she would publicly discuss her sex life with her late husband after her husband's demise? Have you ever seen that? I've never seen that. I've lived in many countries and I've seen many, many cultures. I'm not very old, but I've seen people, all sorts of people of very refined culture and people who are of not very advanced and not very refined culture, both. But I've never seen a woman, never, who would feel comfortable discussing her private life in public, or her activities with her late husband, or her present husband in public. I've never seen that. All the women that I've seen, and lots of them non-Muslim women, and I respect non-Muslim women, and I have no prejudice against them, or Muslim women, old or young, I've never seen them feeling comfortable discussing their menstruation and their romantic lives and the sexual organs of their husbands publicly with other men. Never. Unless, okay, there's no unless. Never seen it. I don't know. I cannot imagine this. I don't. If you have seen it, share it with me, or don't share it with me. I guess it would be too dirty to share, but at any rate, this is Bukhari. And it's still so bad, so sad that we have to discuss this and we have to bring this up. But we have to bring this up in order to defend ourselves. Because what we are accused of disrespecting Aisha, not believing in Aisha, not honoring Aisha. She is the wife of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, she was the wife of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but she profaned that position. she took advantage of that position to degrade Islam and to mislead Muslims. And we do not honor Aisha because of the person she was. Look at her words. This is Bukhari. This is not a Shia book. This is not a Rafidi book. This is an Umari book. Sahih al-Bukhari. Sahih al-Bukhari, published by Dar Ihya al-Turath al-Arabi in Beirut, Lebanon, at year 2001. Dar Ihya al-Turath. Here we go. Kitab al-Hayd, the book of menstruation, page number 76. باب مباشرة الحائض. To have copulation, to have sex with a woman who's menstruating. Now, okay. Aisha's father is Abu Bakr. If someone needs to teach Muslims about the rulings of menstruation with a woman who is ha'id, who is menstruating, rules of copulation and having sex with her, if Umaris do not want to narrate from Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam, from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, why they did not narrate from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself? And why they did not narrate from Abu Bakr? Why Abu Bakr did not tell people about these rulings? Why Aisha? Why Aisha? Which sort of a deen is this? That the wife of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has to teach men about their sex lives. Abu Bakr didn't know about it. So first, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew this. It was his responsibility to teach Muslims how they have to behave towards their women when they're menstruating. So he did not teach them. Abu Bakr didn't know. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not teach his companions, did not teach his caliph, Abu Bakr, about these things. We Shias believe that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught everything, all knowledge that he had, transferred it to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And people were obligated to learn from him, not Aisha. And it was absolutely haram for Aisha to discuss the private life of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and her own private life with other Muslims. Look, and Aisha narrates from Aswad, someone called Aswad, a man, not a woman. Aisha says, كنت أغتسل أنا والنبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم من إناء واحد كلانا جنب. I and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to take a bath from the same water bucket or water container, and we were both junub. وكان يأمرني فأتزر. At-tazir is a piece of cloth that you wrap around your waist. فيباشرني وأنا حائض. I would be menstruating, and he would ask me to wrap a cloth around my waist, and then he would have sex with me. Okay? And then the next hadith, 302. Abdul Rahman ibn al-Aswad narrates from Aswad from Aisha, كانت إحدانا إذا كانت حائضا فأراد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله أن يباشرها. If one of us would be, mubashara means to have sex. If one of us would be menstruating, and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wanted and desired to have sex at that time, أمرها أن تتزر في فور حيضتها. فور حيضتها. He would order that person, that woman, to get a piece of loincloth, and wrap it around her waist, and في فور حيضتها. Hayd is menstruation, monthly cycle. Fawr means when it's raging, when it's in its full power, when it's really flowing. So when it's just started and it's profusely, the woman is profusely menstruating and exuding blood and other segments that come out of her, at that time, he would have sex. Okay. And then this word, the next phrase is very important to understand. وَأَيُّكُمْ. Then Aisha says, وَأَيُّكُمْ. He addresses some men. أَيُّكُمْ. أَيُّكُمْ. She's talking to men. أَمْلَكُ يَمْلِكُ إِرْبَهُ. This word irb means the penis. The penis. So now he's talking, look at this woman. She's talking about the penis of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam after his death. Have you seen any woman like that in the whole world? That I've never met a person, a woman, that she would with other men. And these ayyukum, which one of you, yamliku irbahu, which one of you can control his penis like him, like my late husband? وَأَيُّكُمْ يَمْلِكُ إِرْبَهُ كَمَا كَانَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. Which one of you can control his penis like he used to control his penis? This word irb has two meanings. One word, one is penis, the sexual organ of a man. The other is lust, sexual urge, sexual drive. So it has two meanings. So she's using a word that could mean either one. But a person who's hearing, so this word that either sexual drive, which one of you can control his sexual drive, or his penis, like so either way, it's so obscene, it's so vulgar, it's so low, so disgusting, right? That you would not expect just a regular woman to talk about her husband with other men like this. How about the wife of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who was Sayyidul Anbiya, the Dwayne, the prince of all messengers and prophets, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and she talks about him after his death, after his demise, like that. وَأَيُّكُمْ يَمْلِكُ إِرْبَهُ كَمَا كَانَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ يَمْلِكُ إِرْبَهُ. Which one of you, answer me, which one of you can control his sexual drive or his penis like the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to control his sexual or his penis? So this is the sort of Aisha, the mufti of her father's caliph. She is the mufti. If anyone had to teach anybody about these questions of halal and haram, about sex lives and when women are menstruating, Abu Bakr didn't know that. Omar didn't know that. Why didn't narrate from Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself that you are narrating from Aisha? And why is she talking about the penis of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam or his sex drive? And why is she discussing the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the time when women were profusely menstruating, at the time he desires to have sex with them? Have you seen any? How could you slander the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam worse than this? And now come and ask Shia to honor Aisha and respect Aisha. How could we honor such a woman? How? Tell me. What respect does she deserve? Which kind of person she is? I've never seen a person as low, as vulgar, as obscene as this woman and these words. This is Muslim. I showed you Bukhari, now I'm going to show you Muslim. The two foremost reliable books of hadith in the Umayyad denomination. Sahih Muslim, published by Darul Fikr, by Muslim ibn Hajjaj al-Qushayri al-Nisaburi al-Irani, published in the year 2010 at Darul Fikr, Beirut, Lebanon. Kitab al-Hayd, باب مباشرة الحائض فوق الإزار, having sex with a copulation with a woman who was menstruating while she has wrapped a cloth around her private parts. Aisha says, كانت إحدانا إذا كانت حائضا أمرها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فتعتذر بإزار ثم يباشرها. If the Nabi صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم, no, not if the Nabi, like this. When one of us would be menstruating, when one of us would be menstruating, the Nabi صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم would order that woman, فتعتذر, and that woman would get a loincloth and wrap around herself. This is not a trouser. These are not jeans. These are not shalwar. So izar is what? Is a piece of cloth that you wrap around your waist. So that's what this woman would do. ثم يباشرها, and then he would, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, nastajiru billah, would have sex with that woman. The other one is أن تعتذر في فور حيضتها. The next hadith, 293. He would choose the moment في فور حيضتها, when her menstruation would be raging. So not just because menstruation, the intensity of menstruation is different for women, right? First days could be more profuse, could be more with abundant amount of liquids coming out, and the later days could be less. فور حيضتها, when the menstruation is raging, it's very intense at that time. So she would, أمرها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله أن تعتذر في فور حيضتها. The Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم would order that woman to wrap a loincloth around herself at the time when her menstruation was raging, and it was very strong and very intense at that moment. And then ثم يباشرها, then he would have sex with her. That's the jir. But that, and then she says قالت, and then she says وأيكم يملك إربه كما كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يملك إربه. She says to those men, which one of you can control his penis or his sexual drive like the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to control his penis or his sexual drive? Okay. Sunan Abi Dawud, by Sulaiman ibn Ash'ath al-Sajistani, published by Darul Fikr at year 2005. Kitab al-Sawm, Babul Qubla lis-Sa'im, a person who's fasting, the ruling about him kissing another woman. Anil Aswad wa Alqamah, two men narrating from Aisha, not woman. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يقبل وهو صائم. رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم would kiss when he was fasting. ويباشر وهو صائم, and he would do mubashara, which means sex, or which means copulation, while he was fasting. ولكنه كان أملك لإربه. However, he was more controlling over his sex drive or over his penis. He was more controlling, perhaps, than you. Okay, so you see these ahadith. Let me show you uh, some of the exegeses on these. This is the kitab of فتح الباري. فتح الباري بشرح صحيح البخاري للحافظ ابن حجر. فتح الباري للحافظ ابن حجر العسقلاني, volume number 1, published by Dar al-Fikr at year 2007, Dar al-Fikr Beirut. باب مباشرة الحائض. كتاب الحيض, page number 415. Same hadith that I showed you from Bukhari. في فور حيضها. فور الحيض أوله ومعظمه. When menstruation was raging. What does it mean? He said when the beginning of the menstruation, and when it's very strong, and it's when the release of blood and I guess there's a skin and whatever else comes out of the woman. When that is very profuse, when that's very intense. فور الحيض معظم صبها. فور الحيض means when the release of menstruation blood is very intense. So at that time he would want this to happen. The Nabi Aisha says, يملك إربه المراد عضوه الذي يستمتع به. Irb means what? That body part through which you have sexual pleasure, which obviously for men that's penis. Your sexual body part, which is the penis. So that's one meaning. The other meaning is the sexual drive. Okay, let me show you another book. This is Sahih Muslim with the Sharh of Nawawi, with the explanation of Nawawi. Yeah. Sahih Muslim بشرح النووي, published by Dar al-Fikr, volume number 3. شرح يحيى بن شرف النووي, published in year 2009 in Beirut, Lebanon, Dar al-Fikr. كتاب الحيض. وأيكم يملك إربه. Look. وأيكم يملك إربه. أكثر الروايات فيه بكسر الهمزة مع إسكان الراء, ومعناه عضو الذي يستمتع به أي الفرج. إرب كسرة الهمزة, so A, سكون الراء, إر, and then إربه. It means إربه. So, ومعناه عضوه الذي يستمتع به أي الفرج. It means that organ through which you have sexual pleasure. Al-farj. Al-farj means, for men, that's the penis. So that's his penis. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's the Jew. ورواه جماعة بفتح الحمزة والراء ومعناه حاجته وهي شهوة الجماع. So أكثر الروايات, the majority of riwayat confirms that Aisha was talking about penis. Some of them, they have said, no, it's with fatha, arb. If we say it's those, that's the minority of narrations. Arb with fatha. That means hiya shahwatul jima. That means it's sexual drive. So either she used a word, if it's arb, well, that is the majority of narrations, that she was talking about the penis. And then another one is arb. That's also about sexual drive of her late husband, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I'm not going to talk more about this. There are a lot more references here, but that's painful enough. So that is Aisha, and that's her character. And that's how she respected the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam after his demise. And that's how Omaris respect the Nabi, Bukhari, their foremost books of authority in hadith. They say this is the brother of Quran, right? And this is Muslim, sister of Quran. That's how they respect the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, honor the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm very embarrassed. I'm very hurt. My heart is aching that I've been forced to narrate and show you these things in order to disclose to you and divulge to you that who Aisha is. So if we Shia do not respect Aisha, this is just one of the many hundreds of reasons and thousands of reasons that why we do not like Aisha, why we do not respect Aisha, why we believe that Aisha was not a woman of good character.